bank, making money, making moves. Machines with tools and drills, making grooves. Missions impossible, that's lotsable. I'm upside down, hanging like Tom Cruise.
All right, guys, here we go. Welcome in. It's another edition of the Joe Raineri Show, brought to you by YOUWager.eu. It is where America bets. It is where this show bets. And for Christ, I'm hoping it's exactly where you go to do a little bit of line shopping as, I don't know, anybody who had, let's say, Houston last night at that really weird number of 5 or, 5.5 and kind of got screwed there because, I don't know, you couldn't line shop and get the best number during the week. How many times we got to tell you guys, it is all about numbers. You are betting numbers. You are not betting teams. Who gives a rip what the jersey says, what the name of it is. The only thing that matters is whether they cover. And how do you do that? How do you give yourself the best chance of actually covering and winning a damn game? Yeah, that's by getting the right number. So what does that mean? Well, it means you've got to have an offshore book, right to it, guys. You got to have an offshore book that you can trust, that you can rely upon, a book that you can shop with, a book that you know that you pick up the phone, you get your money in, you get your money out. You don't have to give up your firstborn. You don't need to mortgage your house to do it. Customer service. All of those things spell YOUWager, which is why we continue to tell you about them, guys. We love our peeps at YOUWager, and you're going to love them too, guys. I'm telling you right now, especially for baseball season. Can we all be realistic here? All right. If you are not, if you don't understand the difference between, a minus 175 favorite versus a minus 105 favorite, I can't help you guys. But the reality is, YOUWager can help you. And here's the number: 1-800-YOUWager. The code JRS50. They are standing by right now. Operators just hung up the phone with them. They've got a special bonus for you going on. Forget that 50%. They'll drop in 100% bonus deposit match right now if you call them during this show. 1-800-YOUWager. That's 1-800-YOUWager. That's the code JRS50. Joe Raineri Show 50. They'll go ahead and double that. They'll put a 100% deposit match bonus into your account. You don't have to fund it with Fort Knox, guys. You just got to have an account open so you can do a little shopping. Make sure that you got the right number. And I can tell you right now, today, and listen, we belong to about 9 different books here, but about 70% of our bets went to YOUWager today because the pricing was just that much better than the rest of the market. So I'm telling you, if I didn't put my own money in it, guys, I would never in a million years push you in that direction and say, hey, listen, it's hard enough to find offshore books that you can rely upon, that you can count on. We've all heard the horror stories. We don't have any of those stories. We love YOUWager. Our experience has been honestly first class, top notch. That's why we're spreading the love here. 1-800-YOUWager, code JRS50. Get yourself going there. Open up the account, and let's get ready to profit here today. Big next 25 minutes or so coming your way. Want to welcome those of you joining us for the very first time here, whether it be Periscope, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I don't know who else. Oh, who gives a rip? It doesn't make a damn bit of difference. Bottom line, if you're here, welcome in. Thank you guys for making us a part of your day. Also want to remind you, if you haven't done so, download the Fantasy Sports Radio app, free app. Take us with you. It begins at 6 a.m. From 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., guys. We are delivering the very best contact: sports betting, sports gambling, and also daily DFS. If you guys want to profit, a little FanDuel or DraftKings, we've got your guys. I'm telling you, we've made more millionaires in this network than anybody else. So download the app today. It is the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. We start your day making it rain, 6 a.m., Monday through Friday. Me and Dane Martinez, and then that degenerate Gabe Morency and myself got you from the morning after, 9 a.m. till noon. And then it's just it's host after host after host, specializing in every facet of sports betting, as well as daily DFS, including a whole bunch of peeps from our friends at Wager Talk. And speaking of Wager Talk, guys, one of the very best, Ralph Michaels, going to join us here in just a minute. Nobody does TNA like Ralph. You guys have heard me tell you this time and time again. If you've never had a chance to hear from Ralph or meet Ralph, like I've told you yesterday, tell you again here today, I want you to hear from him, because knowledge is power. And it is all about gaining as much knowledge as humanly possible in order to make smart sports investing decisions. so ultimately our asses aren't broke and bankrupt here before it's all said and done. Don't be the smartest dude in the room. We tell you all the time, if you are, get your ass in a different room, which is why we bring all sorts of different people for you to meet here on the Joe Raineri Show. It's why we do this every day of the week here, guys. Bring you the knowledge, introduce you to guys who are grinding, introduce you to guys that have the experience, that are successful, let you hear from them so you can pull away what you need to pull away in order to be a more profitable sports investor. There is no substitute for knowledge, guys. Absolutely none. And that's what we're trying to do, is bring you as much of that as humanly possible. And nobody's better than Ralph Michael. So he's got some TNA for you here tonight, guys. Trends and angles in every NBA game coming up in the next 48 hours. Knowledge you should have, not because you're going to base a play solely on what Ralph's about to tell you, but simply because this is the kind of information, these are the kind of nuggets that Ralph pulls out that you need to know about, because these are the kinds of things that will either support your thesis on which direction and which side you're leaning. You weigh everything differently. You're not going to just hear a trend that, hey, this team's 6-0 on a Tuesday afternoon. No, not that kind of stuff. We're talking about numbers, data, analytics, stuff that you can use, stuff that has some longevity to it, and stuff that applies, and you can use it in your decision-making as far as where you're going to go tonight. I don't know. Have you guys decided where you're going to land when it comes to Denver and Portland tonight? Game 2. I can tell you this. Don't do anything. Don't make a play before you listen to what Ralph's got to say. He's going to join us here in just a minute. Also, our friends from TrendyBets.com, they've got another MLB and, of course, NBA play of the day. They're going to throw your way, and we want to thank our good friends, of course, from Trendy Bets, who just missed on their play. And it was so funny because a lot of you were very nice to go there yesterday. I do believe they took the over yesterday in the Texas-Pittsburgh game, and that game was, I believe, 2-0 for most through like the 7th inning, and a lot of you guys were nice enough to chime in there and ask us how the over was doing. Right up until the point you almost shit your pants because it went to extra innings and they ended up with 10 runs after all. So let that be lesson number 352 here on the show and in life in general. If you are going to tell the world how friggin' smart you are after the fact, wait until the game's over. Yeah, that pretty good advice there, huh? Why don't you wait until the game's actually over before you start trolling people on social media, letting them know how they were so wrong before the game's over. I'm just saying, future advice, before you start patting yourself on the back with how right you were, let the game finish first. Let's see how it goes there. I can tell you this, there was a couple of people last night who really were patting themselves on the back, laying about 6 figures for the under in Golden State-Houston game, 221.5. I think the Aria, was that it? The Aria in Vegas took a couple of $50,000 bets, or $100,000 bets to win 50, somewhere along those lines, on the under last night at 221.5. And that looked really good right up until about 45 seconds left in the game when there was 210 points on the board. And I am fairly certain that those guys that laid out 6 figures, $50,000 apiece, thought with 45 seconds left, 210, there's no way they're going to score 12 points in 45 seconds at the end of this game. Yeah, gambling's pretty funny along those lines. So let it be a lesson to us all right? Don't tell us how friggin' smart you are until the game's actually over. At least give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Like, wait till the game's over, then tell us how wonderfully smart you are after the fact. Just a word of advice. Probably be all a little bit happier and a little bit better here in our sports wagering ways. But Ralph's going to join us. TrendyBets.com has another, not only Major League Baseball play, but they've got a side in tonight's NBA action also that we will go ahead and play for you. We'll get you all squared away on that. And do want to remind you once again, want to send a big shout out to our friends at Miami Acura who make this show possible, guys. Big shout out to them. No idea where their headline went, but I'll just tell you right now, Miami Acura, it's pretty simple. Look what happens. I turn around for like 2 minutes here, and somebody has to come into the studio here and just screw with everything. Just screw with everything. All right, let me just put this up here. There you go. Miami Acura. Love these guys. We'll talk about getting the right numbers. That's what it's all about with Miami Acura. If you are car shopping, yeah, you don't want to have to overpay, right? I mean, numbers matter, and that's what they specialize in at Miami Acura, giving you guys the best number. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Get the car you want, get it at a price you didn't think possible. That's what they do at Miami Acura. Visit them today, miamiacura.com. That's miamiacura.com. That's where you've got to go. Get it priced up. Get it ready to go. Not only do you want the best number, but you want the car that you want. Certified pre-owned vehicles, used cars, brand new Miami Acuras, leases. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference. They specialize in it all, making customers happy here in the 305, the 954, and the 561 for over 20 years. Go see Deborah and the gang at Miami Acura. Visit them today at miamiacura.com. All right, coming up here, guys, we'll go ahead. We'll give you the Sharp Report. We'll let you know where the Sharps are spending their money in Major League Baseball. And it's pretty easy to tell, too. A couple of games right now that the Sharps are loaded up on here tonight. We'll let you know what games those are. But first, let's bring in our good friend Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com. Guys, you know the deal, right? NBA playoff second round, already a couple of games in the books. Another one tonight, of course, game 2, Portland taking on Denver. Will Denver continue to roll home? Can Portland make the adjustments necessary in order to be able to keep this game a little bit closer than they did last game? And there's only one man who can help us sift through it all, and that's our good friend Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com, at CalSportsLV. He joins us, and Ralph, it's been a very interesting trends and angles laden playoffs thus far in the NBA. I know yesterday you and in fact on your Twitter page talked a little bit about Denver and their ability to be able to bounce back after a straight-up loss, especially at home. And I'm sure you have dug into all of these series here, all of these games. Start tonight, of course, Portland-Denver game 2. What kind of nuggets have you been able to pull out on all of these games?
Well, first you look at Denver tonight, and the interesting thing is so many people are familiar with the term zigzag, and in the 90s and early 2000s, it worked out well in the NBA where you would basically just play the team that lost. You had a lot of back and forth, and hence the term zigzag. But unfortunately, so many people still think the zigzag is relative. And let me just give you an example. When a home team like Denver wins game number 1 in the series, and obviously in the NBA playoffs, if you won game 1 at home, you're at home game 2. Those home teams the last 5 years, last 5 playoffs, 31-7 straight up, 26-12, 68% against the spread. So that is the exact opposite of the zigzag. The home court is very strong in the NBA. When you win game 1, again, 31 of the last 38 times you won game 2 straight up. And then when I look at tonight's game, you have Portland, and Lillard scored 39 points game 1. Do I think he can top that game 2? No. You had a beat-up Cantor who scored 26 points or 29 points game 1. Do I think he can top that? No. You have a Portland team that shot over 50% on the road. Do I think they can play that well again? No. So you have Portland playing a game statistically that was very good against a Denver that was in a bad situation, because you remember Portland had 5 days rest against Denver, who only had 1. If Portland was going to steal a game, I think it would have been game 1. I certainly think the Nuggets get it done here in game number 2.
And I'm wondering, too, it's interesting that you brought that up because it's the complete opposite of the zigzag. Home teams have proven to do well in Game 2s in these situations. I guess if you don't look any further than what we noticed with Golden State here this week, right? Game 2, same situation, kind of won Game 1 there, moved into Game 2 with Houston, were able to take care of business. I'm wondering if anything points to whether the over or the under. You're talking about Portland maybe not being able to take care of, be able to shoot as well and not get as much production as from these guys. You got a lot of people saying got to go the over. It's over all day here in this Denver-Portland game, too. I'm not so sure, Ralph. What do you think?
Well, in this situation, the statistics show, the history shows the over-under was just a slight edge to the over. 21-17, 21 of the 38 games have gone over the total. But to me, I look at it, and the total's up in the air to me. I don't have a strong opinion on the total because both teams shot over 50%. You expect the defenses to play much better. But Portland turned the ball over. I mean, they were horrible in turnovers, and they turned the ball over quite a bit in game number 1. And that was really a stretch where 18 turnovers, that's the most that they've had back since March the 5th. They have not had over 18 turnovers in any one game. So when you have that many turnovers, you expect to play better, not turn the ball over, which would tend to lead with more scoring. So as far as the total goes, I will pass and just watch this one.
Love that. Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com, joining us. This would probably be a good time during the show, Ralph, to just reiterate what we have been saying all season long, no matter what. Started back with football season, college, NFL, right through college basketball. Just because a trend or an angle seems really juicy, right? Can we just once again tell everyone, don't base a play solely on a trend or an angle, please?
Yeah, the funny thing is, we do TNA videos with Kelly, and I do the TNA with you, and we talk about it often. But I am not a trends and angles handicapper. I am much more a situational and a matchup handicapper. These trends and angles are fun to talk about. I would say that I probably use them 20 to 25% of my handicapping. Basically, I do almost a check mark type system. Situationally, is the game the team I want? Yes or no? Technically, is the game favorable or not? Matchup-wise, is the game favorable or not? So, you have to go through each of those methods and then base a play on that. But, again, the difference is, again, between a system and an angle. An angle is just something one team has done. A team as good as a home favorite, a team as bad as an away dog. At least with systems like we talked about with teams that lost game 1, at least you have a league-wide system that's been in place for multiple years that has at least 40 or more scenarios. So I put more weight into a system which isn't a specific team than, let's just say, the Denver Nuggets are 6-0 at home. That means in the last 6 games they covered those 6, but you don't have any length or body of work to show that would substantiate a bet. So absolutely, Joe, no play just based on a system or an angle. And then if I have a choice between a system or an angle, a system being league-wide, I'd certainly give that more credence than a team angle.
Important differential there, guys. Can't stress it enough what he is saying here. No play is based solely on any trend, any angle. You just got to use it as part of your repertoire. When you eventually come out with a decision, it's either going to back it up or it's not, but it's not going to be the only situation or the only thing that you look at in order to make a play. All right, Ralph, we mentioned Portland, Denver, game 2 tonight. Let's talk about tomorrow night. Toronto and Philadelphia. Toronto, let's face it, 1-1 here. Philadelphia came back, showed everyone kind of a zigzag situation there. Toronto wins game 1. Philadelphia comes back, wins game 2. Now we're back into Philadelphia, game 3. What do the trends and angles tell you in this matchup?
Now, I said that zigzag isn't effective as a whole, and we proved it with the Denver scenario. Teams that lose game 1 at home, teams that win game 1 at home tend to win game 2. But I'll tell you, when we talk about these next 2 games, Philadelphia, Toronto, and Boston, Milwaukee, you're going to see there is a difference in game number 3. Philadelphia, let's talk about the scenario first. Nothing you can bet on, but at least we're letting you know what the numbers are. So as Joe says, an informed bettor is a better bettor. You know, if you lost game 1 on the road like Philadelphia did and you won game 2, you might think, well, now you're back home and you're playing game 3 at home in front of your crowd and you have some momentum because you won the game. But in fact, those 1-1 teams that lost game 1 and won game 2 are only 23-21 straight up since 2000, and they're 20-24 against the spread, 45.5%. So, in fact, the numbers say you should play the road team. So this case, and in the Boston case, which we'll talk about in a minute, the zigzag does work in game number 3. Why would it work in game 3 instead of game 2? Well, in game 3, you have a scenario where they're now playing a third straight game. You know the team, they're more familiar. Each team has been able to pick out the weaknesses, so you look for adjustments. You know, and I also look at this Philadelphia-Toronto game. Toronto shot 36% from the field, 36.3%. They have not shot under 38% this calendar year.
Wow.
Last December was the last time they shot under 38%. Those are the type of outliers that I like to look to play and expect a performance back to the median or to the positive. They shot 51.9% game 1, did the Raptors. They shot 36.3 game 2. This is a team with veterans on it, and Kawhi's going to lead the way now, that I think Toronto comes out of it. The numbers show us that historically in this situation, it's basically pick 'em as far as straight up goes. This game is basically a pick 'em or a 1-point game. And again, against the spread, the visitor 24-20, 54.5%. I will state that in game 3 in this scenario, the over-unders are 18, 25, and 1, so a decent-sized edge to the underplay as well.
And I'm wondering, Ralph, does that make sense, though? I mean, because sometimes, look, we get so bogged down with the numbers that, we forget to look at things objectively here. The longer, especially in this round of the playoffs, right? Second round, next round. The longer a team plays each other, the easier it becomes to defend in many aspects, doesn't it? Because of the repetition, there's only so many things a team can throw at you. So shouldn't that tell us that ultimately, guys, it's probably not going to be as high scoring as what we saw in the beginning?
Yeah, and I think you see the lines adjusted often. Rarely will a line 3 line be higher than the lower. I'm looking back since 2003. If you look at every playoff series game, they're close. There's 496 games. 236 have gone over. 250 have gone under. Wow. So, there's only a 1.4% difference, but, it just goes to show you blindly betting game 3s, you'd want to lean with the under. But, again, it's a game of adjustments.
Right.
And with these teams, I think that the adjustments mostly are made on the defensive side. So I agree with that thought in general. Again, nothing you're going to base a play on, but as an overall look at it, you normally see these totals drop by a couple points, especially when you had a game like last game when both teams shot under 40%.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that too, guys, that as much as we like to think we are that much smarter, the books know. They know the zigzag theories. The numbers that Ralph's talking about, the books know them too. And you've also got to be very conscious, Ralph, which is why we talk about, your betting numbers here ultimately. It's so important to understand that, yes, as the teams adjust, the lines adjust too accordingly. And I think a lot of times, especially these days, the numbers that you're getting, or at least that you're seeing the sports books open up with, these lines makers, a lot of this stuff is incorporated and built in already to the lines, isn't it?
Yeah, I think line 1 was crazy high, and we've seen a lot of those. You have to remember that this year in the regular season, the average total, the average over-under number was 11 points higher than last year. I mean, that's absurd. In no year in the previous 20 years has a season gone up by more than 2. From this year to last year, the average over-under line went up 11 points. And we saw it in this series. If you're a value bettor, you would look at Toronto and Philadelphia Game 3 and say, oh, my God, there's so much value to the over. Well, why would I say that? Well, Game 1, the total was 223. Game 2, the total was 219.5. Mm-hmm. Game number 3 on Friday, the game is 216.5. You have 7 points, 6.5 points less on your over-under, which would make me as a value bettor say, oh, my God, I have to look at the over. But now I think the line is where it should be, and it was just crazy high the first 2 games of the series that went both under the total, both flew under the total.
Yep, goal stuff you got to keep in mind here. Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com, at CalSportsLV. Guys tell you all the time, don't be the smartest dude in the room. You're looking for information. Knowledge is power. Ralph does an amazing job on his Twitter page, at CalSportsLV, of providing you guys just that. Trends, angles, if there is a way to look at it, information that's helpful, he's got it there also at WagerTalk.com. All right, Ralph, you mentioned Milwaukee, Boston. Here we go. Another situation, kind of a zigzag, right? Milwaukee gets blown out, and then they return the favor by blowing out Boston. They split the home court. Now they go to Boston, a Game 3 situation. So we hear what you're talking about with Toronto, Philadelphia. How do we look at Boston, Milwaukee? Do we look at it the same or a little bit different?
Well, again, you can look at it the same, saying the team is at home the team at home is 1-1, or the road team is 1-1. But it is quite different because Boston won Game 1 and lost Game 2. So here now we're looking at the team, perhaps play the team off a loss. Now you have to remember, in the NBA playoffs, the home team, Games 1 and 2 are always the higher seed. And I would say 95% of the time, the higher seed is the better team. There may have been some occasions in the year where someone was injured, where the better team is the lower seed. But for the most part, I'm looking back since 2000. This is back 18 years. And when you have a Game 3, like we do for Boston, with the team that won Game 1, like Boston did at Milwaukee, and lost Game 2, even though this team is the road team and the lower seed, they've gone 23-11 straight up as a home favorite. And they've gone 20-14 against the spread, 58.8%. Going back to 2000 is a long time. That's 18 years. Well, let's go back the last 4+ playoff seasons. The last 5 playoff seasons, including this year, haven't been many, but that home team in Game 3, that is the higher seed, has gone 6-2, both straight up and against the spread, 75%. And also, let's add in now some pressure and some newness. Remember, the Boston Celtics have been to the finals multiple times in the last 3 years. They took Cleveland to the wire last year without Kyrie and without the Utah guy, and his name's going to just jump out of my mind. But Boston went to the finals without those 2 guys last year and took Cleveland to the wire. Well, now they're back, and you look at them, and Boston is an experienced team. Milwaukee hasn't played a Game 2 road game in a decade. They got swept last year in the playoffs. They have a bunch of young kids. They played a playoff series against Detroit with their best player hobbled and not playing some of the games, and they swept through them like they should. Well, now you're in round 2. You're playing the Celtics, who have a great defense, and you have pressure on you like you've never had before. I'm not sure if I'm going to go with Boston in the series, but I can tell you I sure do like the under. I think that Boston's defense, they're going to slow the pace. I think Milwaukee has that added pressure now, playing on the road against a good defense in a situation they've never been to. A playoff crowd is so different than they've ever played before. Listen, you had a Detroit playoff crowd that might have been a little loud Game 3, but they got swept the first 2 games. They know they really didn't have a chance. It won't be anything like the TD Gardens will be for this Celtics game. So History shows us these teams in Game 3 have done well. I'm looking at the under, as I think Milwaukee's playing with an added level of pressure they've never had before. Yes, they have some quality players and perhaps the best player in the league in the Greek Freak, but from top to bottom, I'm looking for a lower scoring game, and if I had to pick a side, I'd probably pick the Celtics as well to win this game outright.
Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com, at Cal Sports LV. All right, the final series here, Ralph, the one with the most drama. It's the refs. It's always the refs. It's always somebody else's fault. No personal responsibility there from the Houston Rockets. Down 2-0, lost both games in the Oracle, but now they get to go home. Kind of unique here in this situation. What do you do? No split here, Ralph. You're down 2-0. You can't afford to go 3-0. Game 3. Dare I say that must-win situation for Houston here? What do the numbers tell us?
Well, first off, I think Houston did themselves a disservice. Last year they complained about CP3 being out. Yeah, they might have won it with CP3, but those are injuries. We all have those. I think going into Game 2, I did not like their mentality or attitude at all. When you go into Game 2 and you're playing the Warriors and you're complaining that the refs are one-sided and you're not getting the calls, I don't think you can be entirely focused to play Game 2 or to win Game 2. Granted, they might have covered if you didn't, make that foul and so on and so forth. But I hate that mentality that they had. Instead of saying, you know what, we lost Game 1, it didn't matter what the refs did. We're as good of a team and we're going to win this game. They just didn't take that mentality. The numbers, well, let's go back to 2003. Home favorites that are down 0-2, like the Houston Rockets are, in Game 3 have gone 50-21 straight up. And against the spread, a very impressive 62.3%, wow. Going 43, 26, and 2. If you want a more recent record, since 2014, those Game 3 teams that are down 0-2 at home, 11-5 straight up, 10-6 against the spread, almost the exact same 62.5%. So, again, a 62% play is a solid play. It's something that I might look at to continue on, to look at what my matchups are. But let's not forget the most important thing. James Harden is going to have to be 90+% for these numbers to be valid and to take place. If Harden has any issues with his eyes and he's under 90%, it's a situation that I would play Golden State or not play the game at all. Even though Harden's percentage is not good, he's not been a good shooter this year. He scores his points because he takes volume. I think he's shooting under 44% on the year, but they still need him in the lineup to be able to beat the Warriors. So I'm hoping Harden's both eyes are fine. There's no issues with those injuries from last night. He's ready to go. And again, you have to remember, this Golden State team is the same team that just lost to the Clippers twice. So they have some chink in the armor. They're not the same team. They're not playing with the same continuity. Yes, they're the best team. Yes, they have the most talent. Yes, I expect them to win it all. But they are also now playing in a series where the Clippers took them to 6 games. Golden State has not played over 5 games in any early series the last 3 playoffs. They went 4-0 or 4-1. So being tested in Game 1 is something that carries over in each of the series. If Houston makes this a series and they go 6 or 7 games, then that's more games and more wear and tear for the Warriors moving forward to the Western Conference Finals. If the team in the Western Conference Finals takes them 5, 6, or 7 games, that's more wear and tear when they play the Eastern Conference teams. So, for a lot of years, we saw the Warriors go 4-0, 4-0, 4-1. The Cavs go 4-0, 4-1, 4-0. They swept a lot of series, and when they played in the finals, they were both fresh against each other. If a team's going to get worn out early, it's something you have to look at and continue to make adjustments as the playoffs progress.
Interesting. Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com. This is what we're talking about, guys. Knowledge is power. Make smarter sports investing decisions. Surround yourself with the guys that actually have that knowledge there at Cal Sports LV, WagerTalk.com. Any advice, Ralph? I mean, at this point, you're talking about the individual games here, but suppose somebody wants to look at a series price. I mean, does it benefit to look at the exact number? Does it sometimes just benefit to pick a team that you think is going to win, no matter whether it's in game 5, 6, or 7? Is there any sort of strategy towards that for a series price?
Well, I've never bet an individual game in a series. A lot of times being again from Cleveland and having been a Cavs fan all those years,
right?
I would often look at perhaps I'm going to bet a sweep or perhaps I'm going to bet in 5 or split the bets, but I've never gotten into it and done it. What I do like doing though is a team that I like in the series and perhaps say the price is just a little too high. Boy, if they lose game 1, I jump on them, and the only series play I made, and, I'll just be, front now, I'm only tied 1-1, but I bet Toronto. I got them early. They were minus 220. I think they ended up going off at minus 270 or 280. I thought they were the team that would advance and play there, but, a team like Milwaukee that was a significant favorite against Boston, if you were a Milwaukee Bucks player and you were afraid to bet them, that game 1 loss is the best thing you can do to bet that series play, because all of a sudden, you're almost down to even money after that being down game 1. So moving forward, the series prices are going to get a little tighter, so you're not going to have that, unless there's a huge upset where one team gets knocked out, you're not going to have that big of a series price, but I like playing if there's a team that you think that's going to like your series and they lose game 1, don't be afraid to jump on them for that extra value, even increasing or adding another half unit to your bet, because that's when there truly is value playing it. And, also let me just mention live betting. We've seen these swings. There are so many instances in these playoff games where you get a team that's down 10 in the first half and you could bet that dog plus points, and then that home team comes back and then you could bet the opposite side, and you can actually just hedge and bet both sides and make money no matter what. And, that's the business you're in. You may not get rich doing it, but that's what grinders do. You find situations like that where you're going to get value. A home team gets down early. I'm not saying to bet a blowout to bet the road team,
right? But
if the home team gets down early, and, especially now we're round 2 or later, they're going to make a comeback. The NBA is a game of runs. There are many, many times if that home team gets down in the first quarter, you can bet them live and get the game pick 'em or plus points. And then later on, you can get the dog in the just opposite situation, and you can make money both ways and plus have a 4, 5, or 6 point middle where perhaps you can win both bets in there. So, live betting in the playoffs is where it's at. I've only had a handful of plays, but that doesn't stop me from watching at least the game action on the computer to see where the runs are, to see if there's any injuries, and perhaps, again, pick up the easiest money you can make when you have a money line middle where you're making money either way, or you're splitting on one side and making money on the other. That's the positions you have to put yourself in.
Which is why in-game wagering is so much fun. And I hated the Milwaukee series price to begin with, but they lost game 1, and I got them at like minus 120. So not only did I bet them in the series, Ralph, but I hedged it because I took Boston on the money line in game 2 at plus 275. I figured, hell, if Boston wins it, the series is over anyway. Might as well cash in on the money line. And you know what? If they don't, I still like Milwaukee in this series. So either way, it's a win-win situation. The bottom line is you got plenty of different ways to attack these bets and attack these games. But the bottom line is you want to be smart about doing it. Give yourself as much information as humanly possible. And like Ralph said, timing is everything. Get in at the right time. Get the hell out at the right time. Everybody profits. After all, it is a market, but it starts with getting the information. You got to have the knowledge in order to make the smart decisions. At Cal Sports LV on Twitter, WagerTalk.com. You guys know where it is. Make sure you get there. And Ralph, on a side note, also I know you got baseball going on right now at WagerTalk.com, and tell us real quick. Tell the viewers and the listeners about what you've got going on with the first pitch, the data, the information that you post there regarding Major League Baseball. Some pretty cool stuff. Some great information there as well.
Well, the first pitch is simple. It's a free baseball newsletter available daily. It's 2 full pages per team. You have pitching logs. You have pitching logs against the opponent. They're broken down home, away, overall. You got the last 15 game team logs. You also have first inning logs and fifth inning logs. You know, I know out here in Vegas, it's very popular now to bet games the first 5. You take the bullpens out of it, you're getting basically the same line. You're betting just the starting pitchers, but you'd be surprised. Some teams perform better in the first 5 and some teams perform worse. You have the logs there. Plus you have situations broken down the last 5, 10, 20 days. Batting averages, slugging averages, ERAs, away dogs, away favorites, home dogs, home favorites, day games, away and home, night games, away and home, righties, lefties. You know, an example, just looking at the sheet tonight, you know, the A's are playing Eduardo Rodriguez of the Red Sox. Mm-hmm. The A's are 6-14 against righties this year, but against lefties, they've gone 8-4. So they're a team that hits lefties very much. You know, Arizona last night played the Yankees and Sabathia. You know, Arizona's batting .300 as a team against lefties. That's number 1 in baseball. Yep. They've performed well against lefties. Different lineups are set to play better against different teams. You know, and you have some teams like in the AL Central, the Indians have right-handers. Almost the entire AL Central is righties. You start going, you don't see lefties that often. You know, Detroit and Minnesota, I think, have just played 1 or 2 starts against lefties. When you have those situations, the Twins I'm looking at right now, up until this time, the Twins have only played 1 game against a lefty the entire year. Wow. You know, so when they're going to play a lefty, you have to look at those situations. So the first pitch is available free daily. Go to WagerTalk.com. You go to the Cappers page and look for the Cal Sports page, and you're going to see it up there. You do have to register the first time, but that's just name and email address. You do not need a credit card to register. You do not need a credit card on file to download the first pitch. So if you go there, I know I hate sending people to sites where you have to give a card or give some sort of deposit. That's not needed. It'll ask your name, your email address, you register, then every day you get the first pitch for free. And then also every Monday I do the MLB Who's Hot, Who's Not.
Yep.
That's just the last 10 days. Baseball is crazy, 160 games. You go through your good and bad streaks. When you can clear your mind, look at how a team has only done in the last 10 days, don't worry about the name of the team or what their reputation is. Base your plays just on that information. You are going to have a successful baseball season because all of a sudden, you know, you're going to have some spots that the line is crazy. You know, and why we're on the line here, for those that are going to listen to this on Thursday night, don't go to Wager Talk and buy my plays tonight because I'm going to talk about a game right now that is my 4% best bet at Wager Talk. It's Cincinnati and DeSclafani against the Mets with DeGrom.
Okay.
Cincinnati's a 170 dog. And you look at it, why is DeGrom a 180 favorite? Well, DeGrom won the Cy Young last year. DeGrom's pitching great. Well, he's not pitching great. In DeGrom's last 3 starts, he's allowed 14 runs in 13 innings. In his last 2 starts, he's allowed 7 walks in 9 innings. You look at Cincinnati, DeSclafani in his last 2 starts, 12 innings, 1 run, 6 hits. Cincinnati should be the favorite. Cincinnati is a better hitting team the last 5 days. Cincinnati is a better hitting team the last 10 days. Cincinnati is a huge dog, and they shouldn't be. And then if you look at the first pitch, you'll see that Cincinnati might only be 2-9 in day games, but this game's at night. They're 10-8, including 5-5 on the road. You're not going to get many situations like that when the team with a better pitcher in current form and a team hitting better is a 170 dog. So we'll see if it comes to fruition or not, but the Reds tonight are clearly a play that is up for sale at Wager Talk as a 4% best bet, as a 170 dog.
As a 170 dog. And that's how you make money, guys. That's how you profit in Major League Baseball, not by betting, minus $2, $2 favorites. It's by getting and mixing in those plus 170 dogs situationally. That situation tonight, of course, in New York, DeGrom, DeSclafani, Cincinnati, New York Mets. Take advantage. Make sure you get to Ralph's page, not only at Wager Talk, WagerTalk.com, but also on Twitter at Cal Sports LV. And Ralph, nothing but information, brother. Great stuff as always. Pleasure talking to you. You got a Derby pick, or are you just going to ride off of Marco's heels this weekend? What are you going to do?
You know, I usually take a look at what Marco has, and then I'm not a big horse guy. I like doing a lot of reading. So, you know, perhaps what I should do is, since Mark won the Florida Derby with his little speed sheet, I'm going to be calling Mark and taking some of Mark Lawrence's information, some of Marco's, and I'll put it together and I'll bet that, and hopefully have the best of both worlds.
Nobody tells, horse picks like Ralph Michaels, guys. I can tell you that to a fact. Nobody does a better job of tailing what everybody else is playing than Ralph. Ralph Michaels, pleasure talking to you, man. Good luck tonight. We'll talk to you again soon, brother. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Joe. Talk to you, bud.
You got it. All right, great stuff, Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com, always bringing the TNA, man. Nobody does TNA like Ralph Michaels. WagerTalk.com at Cal Sports LV. Guys, make sure you guys, so as soon as we're done going live, it's available. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Periscope, always here. Make sure that you guys check it out. Make sure if you get a chance, like the video, subscribe to the channel, like the channels, all of that happy horse shit would be really, really appreciative here if you do that, because we really work hard, guys, trying to bring you some of the latest information, the best information, let you hear from guys that you probably might otherwise never know or never run across, and that's really what it's all about. It's about networking and being able to listen to, meet, hear from different perspectives in the sports wagering industry, in the sports handicapping business. So ultimately, we all just want to be a little bit more profitable at the end of the day, right? It's not you versus Ralph, me versus you. It's all of us collectively versus the damn sports books, who I think we can all agree, right, probably have enough money. I don't know. I'm going to throw it out there. I think they probably have enough money, and it would be really good if we all came together and, grabbed hands and sang Kumbaya and all that happy horse shit. It would really be good if we took some of their money. And the way we do that is, quite honestly, by coming together and working together and trying to get a little smarter, grind it out together. Why not? Guys like our friends, the Sports Keg CEO, Jay and company over there. Have you been to a keg cast yet? I would definitely highly recommend YouTube. Search it now. All right, those of you that are joining us in the chat rooms, Steven and Mark and Matt, Michael, those of you guys that are joining us in the YouTube chat room there, go ahead. Just search right now, the Sports Keg. Live every night, live. You heard Ralph talk about live in-game wagering, right? That's what Jay and the folks over there do. A free forum. It's a giant sports handicapping think tank live every night. They all live in-game wager, bouncing ideas off of one another, bouncing plays off of one another. It is awesome. And in over, 3 months now, they're over 100 units in their live in-game wagering plays collectively as a group. And that group keeps growing. More and more of you keep finding it. And you're realizing just how profitable, like Ralph said, in-game wagering can be. So it's pretty simple. Make sure you're chasing. You can follow Jay. It's at the Sports Keg CEO. I'll throw this up on there. Just hit him up on Twitter. You'll see it. All right. The Sports Keg. Search it on YouTube. But ultimately, those of you on Periscope and Twitter, check him out at the Sports Keg CEO. That's Jay daily, guys. Tonight again, 7:00. They'll be at it. Another edition of the Kegcast on YouTube. It is free. Check it out. All right, speaking of delivering, our friends at TrendyBets.com. Got a couple of plays for you here tonight. Want to pass them along to you. And again, those of you that are just joining us, welcome in. Thank you very much for making us a part of your day. It is the Joe Raineri Show, brought to you by uwager.eu, which reminds me, if you haven't done so already, make sure you are visiting. Get yourself an account set up right now, and forget the 50% bonus, by the way. It's 100% right now if you call 1-800-UWAGER. That's 1-800-UWAGER. One of the best, and I'm telling you, customer service, pricing, market, being able to put money in, pull money out. One of the best offshore books you will find, guys. Have never had a problem. My money is in there. I house there. Like I told you earlier, about 70% of my plays tonight went to UWager. Why? The best pricing. They had the best pricing on the market. Less juice, better numbers. That's what UWager is all about. So if you want to call them right now, they're waiting. They'll drop a 100% deposit match bonus into your account. 1-800-UWager. That's 1-800-UWager. The code is JRS50. When they answer the phone, that's the code you give them, and they'll go ahead and drop that very special 100% deposit bonus match into your account. All right, let's get you a couple of plays here tonight from our friends at TrendyBets.com. We encourage you guys, make sure you visit our friends at TrendyBets.com. They have been killing it, not just in the NBA, but their MLB packages have also are just way up. First 30 days here into the MLB season, extremely profitable. All the information, pretty simple, guys. Just go to TrendyBets.com. Get to TrendyBets.com. You'll see exactly what we're talking about. Fully documented, transparent. It's all right there. Great guys. Talk about grinders. That's what we're talking about. TrendyBets.com. You can't fudge the numbers. The numbers speak for themselves. Make sure you get over there today, TrendyBets.com. Taking a look at that Trailblazers-Nuggets game here tonight. Denver laying 4 total. I do believe opened up at 217. It is now 219.5. It's been hovering around that all day. Let me give you the latest numbers there as we look at it real quick. Hold on. Let me get to the right page here as we have access to about 15 books here around the country. We got tapped right into their system, so we'll let you know what's happening. We are looking at a 219.5. Yeah, 217.5, 219.5. I can tell you right now, it looks like 70% of the bets, 72% of the money coming in on the over tonight at that 219. Currently, the spread bets, 4 is the number, 44% of the tickets being written on Portland, representing 42% of the money. 56% of the tickets being written on Denver, representing 57% of the money. Kind of split down the middle. Money line, absolutely looking at Denver, laying 188. 39% of those tickets versus 55% of the money. So plus 162 now for Portland, 61% of the bets, 45% of the money. It does look like some of that reverse line shift and some of that sharp play coming in on the money line for Denver right now. 39% of the tickets, 55% of the money. But I got to tell you, they love the over. So do a lot of other people. Looks like that's where it's trending right now. The over at 219.5. All right, that's what our friends at TrendyBets.com, that's where they're leaning. 219.5, the over being 7-2 in Portland's last 9 games versus teams with a winning percentage over 600. Also, the over 9-3 in Portland's last 12 following a straight-up loss. They rebound real well. The over is 4-0 in Denver's last 4 versus teams with a winning percentage over 600. And also the over 5-0 in the last 5 meetings between these two teams. 219.5 over tonight is what our friends at TrendyBets.com are looking at. And as we switch to the diamond, let's take a look here. Tigers at the Phillies. All right, Phillies, big favorites here tonight, 224, even though the Tigers beat them last night 3-1. How is that working out for you there? The total is 8. And it's interesting about this game because our friends at Trendy Bets, they're leaning to the under right now because it's 11-5 in Detroit's last 16 road games. It's also 9-3-1 in Norris's last 13 starts overall. He's on the mound tonight for Detroit. Going up against Nola, who is 15-5-3 in his last 23 home starts versus a team that pretty much sucks, a losing record. Also, the under 7-1-1 in the Phillies' last 9 overall. The reason I say this is interesting is because follow the money. We do that here, right? Our sharp report, we tell you right around this time of day, where is the money going, all right? If you don't have time, you got a job, you got a girlfriend, you got a life, that you don't have time to dive in the numbers all damn day, but you want a little action here tonight. One of the best strategies that you could possibly have, guys, is you don't complicate things. You simply follow the sharp money. That's it. what are the pros betting, all right? Because most of the time, it ain't what Joe Public is betting. So if you can identify where the sharp money is going, then you can identify a pretty, realistic, a better than above average chance of profitability there, just simply following the pros. But the key is, where are the pros going? How do I identify it? Well, that's why you got guys like us here who will help you do that. In Detroit, Philadelphia tonight, the sharp, they're looking at the under, just like our friends at trendybets.com. And listen, a lot of novice bettors, a lot of Joe Public guys. They love scoring. They're naturally going to root for the over. They're going to go, oh wow, it's Philadelphia. It's Bryce Harper. Meanwhile, he can't hit water if he fell out of a boat right now. It's been an awful slump. He's getting booed. What else is that? But this opened up at 8.5. And bets, I still think, as I'm looking at the numbers, pretty much 50-50, but 84% of the money is coming in on the under. So when you have 50% of the tickets, but 84% of the money coming in on one side, that tells me, guys, that the sharper side is definitely going to be that, and that's what you got going on the under. Massive bets versus dollar discrepancy indicates sharp money, sharp action, and it also indicates that the sharps are looking at a low-scoring here game tonight between Norris and Nola, and we've had a couple of steam moves, a couple of reverse line shifts. Reverse line shift means Joe Public, everyone's betting that way, but actually a couple of bets are coming this way. That's the line's moving in the opposite direction of what the majority of the bets are. It's also one of the best indicators to figure out where the sharp money is going. And tonight, guys, pretty simple here. The sharps are agreeing with trendybets.com that the under is the play. Throwing that out for you there. Tigers, Phillies tonight, under 8. Hop on it if you can. Make sure you guys are line shopping and make sure you guys are visiting our friends at trendybets.com. All right, awesome stuff there. Want to thank them very much. Want to remind you guys also, Make It Rain, Morning After, just all sorts of great free content programming every day. Heard around the country on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network, as well as our cable providers, our syndicated radio partners around the country. Each and every day begins at 6 a.m. with yours truly, me and Dane Martinez. We start your day off. We help you make it rain, get you caught up with everything you missed from the night before, East Coast time. And then, of course, the morning after, me and Gabe Morency, we've got you till noon. And then it's pretty much show after show dedicated to making you a little bit more profitable, either in sports investing or daily fantasy, year-long fantasy. Some of the truly best in the business, guys that have they've created millionaires. Their lineup optimizers, their ability to be able to push you in the right direction. And I will say this, too, having hung around with these guys, our Daily Roto buddies there at the Fantasy Sports Radio Network, the tools, the analytical tools that they have trying to help you find great DFS lineups, they do make you a better sports handicapper. I'm telling you right now. You can't help but to look at those numbers and become a better capper, understanding situational betting, understanding who's going, the numbers that they provide there, the lineup optimizers they give you at dailyroto.com that you can sign up for are just as valuable when it comes to sports investing and sports betting. So just a tip of information there. Some of the best sharps that I know, it's all about as much information, right? Knowledge is power. Yeah, the Daily Roto guys know exactly what the hell they're doing with their MLB packages. So keep an eye on that. Download the app, the Fantasy Sports Radio Network app. It is free, guys. You can get it. You can take us with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is, did I mention it was free? It's free. iTunes, Google Store. Download it today. It is the Fantasy Sports Radio app. All right, just a couple of other games here as we're looking at our sharp report. I can tell you another one, too. The Yankees were big. A lot of course, the overwhelming favorite, Yankees, big public money. 70% of the bets came in on the Yankees. It opened up at minus 127 as a favorite, but boy, oh boy, close to even money at first pitch here this afternoon. Why is that? Awful lot of line movement came in. Arizona plus 112, plus 103, minus 105. Big influx of money created a big liability for the sports books. Why? On Arizona, which means this is another one of those identifying situations. Arizona was only getting, and I don't know what the final numbers are, Arizona was only getting about 34% of the bets, but they were getting 57% of the money. That indicates that's where the sharps were going. And it appears that, at least for now, bottom of the sixth inning, 3-1 Diamondbacks. So, again, you don't have to be a genius here, guys. You just got to identify, make smart sports investing decisions, and it starts with, I don't know, go where the pros are going. Follow the money, all right? It is a market after all, which is why we tell you, doesn't really matter so much what the jersey name is. It just matters what the numbers say. And I know guys that couldn't tell you 3 players on any one particular team. Doesn't matter to them. But you know what? And they're also about 66% so far this year. They win. Why do they win? I don't give a shit who it is. The only thing that matters to them is the numbers, which I'm trying to hammer home to you here, guys. But that's one of the situations. 3-1 Diamondbacks, bottom of the sixth right now. That is definitely one of the games that the Sharps were all over. Congratulations to the Royals. They are doing a really good job of beating the crap out of the Rays. Game 1, they already took 3-2. Game 2, all over Snell early on. It is now 4-0, bottom of the fourth there. So congratulations to the Royals beating the crap out of the Tampa Bay Rays here. Not a good situation, not a good showing. That's now back-to-back crap starts there for Snell, who broke his pinky, his toe, I don't know, he broke something, but he's back now. One other final game I'll give you on the Sharp Report, of course, St. Louis at Washington. Here we go again. It's Max Scherzer on the mound. So what does that mean? Well, that means Joe Public's like, Max Scherzer's great. Never mind the fact that he has absolutely sucked this year, and they're 1-6 against the number with him on the mound. This isn't last year. It isn't the year before. This isn't the Max Scherzer and Washington Nationals that you guys have been used to. This is the big difference between Joe Public and the Sharps. Joes versus pros. We talk about it all the time, right? Well, the Joe is like, it's Max Scherzer. The pro's like, yeah, they suck. 1-6 with him on the mound this year. Not profitable. One of the least profitable number one starters we've seen. Chris Sale, Max Scherzer, all in that same boat, guys. It hasn't been profitable to follow them. The Cards right now, the total in this opened up at 8. It's dropped down to 7.5. And it's bouncing back and forth there. It looks like we're getting a little buyback, but it looks like an awful lot of money here. I've seen a lot of steam and reverse line shifts all to the under when it was at 8. So it looks like the Sharps looking like a low-scoring game here. Max Scherzer is on the mound there, I do believe, tonight for the Washington Nationals. Let me just give you a double check here. Make sure. Mikolas on the mound here for St. Louis, who's been a bit disappointing here. But Scherzer on the mound, and the under seems to be getting a little bit of love. As far as the money line goes, another one of these situations. You've got 48% of the money line bets are coming in on Washington. That represents 68% of the money. So there is a little bit of a discrepancy there. Tickets versus money may indicate a little bit of sharp action there. But as we take a look at some of the bets, I can tell you the under. But I can tell you also there's been a lot of steam action coming in on St. St. Louis. That's a big number, plus 145. The under seems to be the consensus for some of these bigger plays by the Sharps, as well as St. Louis getting some love at plus 152, also at plus 145, and currently, I believe, let me double check, St. Louis plus 131. So they opened up 1-4 at 151. It has now been bet down to 131. Washington opened up as a big favorite, minus 168, now minus 145. Why is that? Why would the better team, Max Scherzer, why would the odds be getting better in your favor there as a favorite? Well, that's because a lot of money and a lot of liability coming in on St. Louis, which tells me we're getting some sharp action coming in, but the under definitely seems to be the consensus in that game. And you heard Ralph talk about it, right? Del Scalfani tonight, Cincinnati taking on DeGrom. Another one of those situations. DeGrom started off really good. Last 3 outings, not so good here. Ralph feels same situation. Maybe the wrong team is favored here tonight. Yes, the Mets are at home, and it's DeGrom on the mound. But, we're seeing some steam moves come in on Cincinnati, plus 180. Not good. Also seeing some money on the over come in as well. So Ralph's play today, he told you, if you're just joining us, it is free, guys. He's going Cincinnati here, plus money. Plus 180 feels like it's not the right way. And I can tell you from a money line perspective right now, at plus 170, Cincinnati getting 36% of the tickets written, representing 44% of the money. That's what we call a little discrepancy there. That's how we identify, guys, where the sharp money is going. Fewer bets, bigger amount of money. It ain't the $5 public better there. That's usually guys that can push some steam, and that is guys that can actually move lines. So Cincinnati is definitely going to be the play here. That's what Ralph likes. That's what we like, backing him up. Also, I can tell you a couple of the other underdogs that I'm looking at here tonight. San Diego, plus 131. Also Colorado, plus 133. If you are new here, guys, understand that it does require you to win a few games that have a plus number next to it in baseball when it comes to the money line. Because if all you do is bet favorites that have that little minus sign in front of it, you might actually win a majority of the games and still lose your ass. So why is that? Yeah, big juice, guys. Big juice. And I was never a fan of betting big favorites this early on anyway. So tonight looks to be quite an opportunity to take advantage of some underdog money here. Looking at St. Louis, I think they're live. I think Cincinnati is live. I think San Diego, who is starting Quantrill tonight, rookie, his father used to play in the league. I think they're a little bit undervalued as well. They're getting plus 135 money. You heard Colorado there. Anderson for Milwaukee on the mound there. A little bit of money, guys. Another one of these situations. 33% of the bets, money line coming in on Colorado, representing 42% of the money. Looks like some of the heavy cash coming in on that. Let me see what else we look here. Big dogs. Detroit, we told you about. Another one of these games. Cleveland, Miami. Kluber on the mound against Caleb Smith. Caleb Smith might be the only time ever all year that I bet on the Miami Marlins. I won't even remotely come close to him ever again for the rest of the year until this guy pitches. And right now, I can tell you, as far as the handle goes, on about 10 sports books, it's one of the most bet games of the night so far. Why? Sharps are all over Caleb Smith and Miami right now, getting not only the contrarian aspect of it, but also getting a whole bunch of steam for the Miami team right now. The Miami Marlins, Caleb Smith on the mound, getting a whole lot of love from the Sharps. 26% of the tickets written on Miami, representing about 40% of the money. Guys, that's a huge indicator that that's who the Sharps like right now. Kluber on the mound, Caleb Smith. I happen to like, it opened up at 7. It's been bet down to 6.5. I do like the under in this game as well. But if you're ever going to bet Miami at plus 150, although they're not there anymore, they've been bet down, and this is another indicator. Opened up at plus 150, plus 117, plus 113. I'm seeing in a number of these books. Why is the numbers getting? Why they move in that direction? Yeah, they're moving in that direction because that's an awful lot of steam coming in. Miami, big sharp favorite tonight, taking on Kluber and the Cleveland Indians. So currently also game 1, White Sox over Baltimore right now 4-3. Kansas City, I told you, all over Brett Snell and Tampa Bay right now 4-0. And the Yankees, Kelly taking on Tanaka. Top of the 7th inning, Arizona. One of the big games here today that the Sharp report told us is all over. Arizona winning that game 3-1 as we speak. So there you go, guys. Don't forget, you got there's this thing called the NBA playoffs here tonight. I'm all over Denver here. I'm going to be taking Denver. I'm going to kind of zigzag. Denver game 1. I think Denver takes care of business game 2, and then I'm going to bet Portland when they go home finally for Game 3, I think I'll go ahead and support them there. But as of right now, it looks like 56% of the bets representing 58% of the money coming in on the Denver Nuggets laying that spread. And as far as the over-under goes, we had Ralph here on the show, Ralph Michaels, earlier today. He's talking about, listen, a little bit of regression there. Do you really think, Enes Kanter with a bum shoulder is going to score another 27 points? Lillard is going to get his, of course, but, might there be a little regression for Portland, who shot over 50%? They certainly don't have any answers for Paul Millsap and Jokic there, so they're going to go ahead and get theirs because they have no answers. So I tend to agree with him here. Plus, he gave you one of the most stunning statistics from a trends and angles standpoint. Home teams who win Game 1, who also now are at home, favored Game 2, and the numbers are off the chart showing that Game 2, the home team, the favorite, usually covers and has since 2005. So any of that you missed, guys, I encourage you, check the videos out here. They're available to you. Also, hit us up here on social media. Like the videos. Share them if you could. Those of you joining us on YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, guys, thank you very much for making us a part of your day. We do this each and every day. Also, some great videos here listed. Kentucky Derby coming up this week. Marco D'Angelo, now that also from Wager Talk, our go-to horse guy. You heard Ralph talk about him a little bit earlier. We did a great intro video to the Kentucky Derby. Great interview there, getting you prepped. Now tomorrow and Friday, we're going to talk a little bit, start busting those down, see if we can't make you some money here for the Kentucky Derby on Saturday. Also, our good friend Dr. Chuck from SportsMemo.com, one of the best in baseball. He'll be joining us. Charles Michel, who was all over today's Champions League match there. Barcelona, Messi taking on Liverpool, 3-0. I think Messi, they ended up wiping out Liverpool there. But that continues to go on. Charles Michel, probably one of the best European football soccer handicappers that we have ever had the pleasure of meeting. The guy is amazing. He joins us again still this week. We'll talk a little bit of golf. Brady Cannon, we're going to get him on from WagerTalk.com. Plenty to go here during the week, so do yourself a favor. Hit the bell in the upper hand right-hand corner. Those of you joining us on YouTube, get notified every time we go live. Right around 4 o'clock, guys, in the afternoon, we'll go ahead and bring these to you live. Videos always available. Make sure you drop by TrendyBets.com. Their plays tonight under in the Tigers-Phillies game, the over tonight in the Denver Nuggets versus the Portland Trailblazers game. And make sure you guys visit TrendyBets.com as well as Ralph Michaels, Wager Talk. Join us tomorrow. Best of luck. All that good stuff, guys. Thank you very much for making us a part of the day. Best of luck to you. Come back. I swear, join us tomorrow. We don't bite. We'll have more great information for you. Ultimately, simply trying to be a little bit more profitable in 2019. How do we do that? Well, we do it by introducing you guys to some of the very best from around the country. That's what it's all about. Knowledge is power, guys. Best of luck. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. It is the Joe Raineri Show. Good night, guys.